We are going to go back to A and do our review.
And audit. Sorry, I got to turn around with the.
You always bring us bad weather.
Then you had a detour.
Yes. Oh.
I turned that phone call.
It's okay. We just want you to get home safely.
Yeah, that's right. I tried to hurry. They're out there sanding the interstate.
Are they? Is it getting slick?
No.
Okay.
No, at least it wasn't at 7 miles an hour.
Okay. Okay. We'll go ahead and get you out of here.
I didn't go 75 yet.
Let me cover the back room.
I looked at the police chief over there.
Not in town you didn't, you followed the speed limit.
I was lost in town. I was going like this way, that way, because I came in on that M54. Never been that way before.
You can take 196 anyway. Just go.
You can?
You had a tour.
Well, I turned around in somebody's yard and then.
Unless it closed today, it's been open.
Well, it said closed to
To the north?
Oh, to the south. I can't. It said.
You can get down to the old highway.
You can get from 4 lane 20 to the old highway on 196.
You just can't go further south.
Oh, I didn't know that. I mean, they had barricades there, and there was a semi ahead of me. He was kind of thinking about going through, but I turned around. But I can go just over to Rockwell City and go up to take the Rockwell City exit.
Yes, you
Or
can.
you can just go out here to the first stop sign, turn left, and you'll be there.
Go between the signs, you'll be fine.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll go
And
back.
when you get a ticket, you can bring it back.
So I go back to the 1 yard and
Just add a
dog
dog
excuse me out of the 1 yard. I'll be okay.
I just heard to visit these people.
Okay, let's go.
Back to business, okay. I just want to let you know, like, first of all, I just started out and kind of give you an idea of what we looked at and what kind of audit testing we did. This year I brought 2 young CPAs with me, so we had 3 of us here for like a couple days and 2 of us here for the 3rd day. You know, just because I was running a little late, so I wanted to make sure, you know, I got the audit done, you know, before March 31st. And so the type of stuff we look at is we kind of look at, you know, what kind of control systems you have, you know, to input the system. We look at, we go through the cash, verify the cash balances with the banks. We look at receipts. You know, we might test some pool receipts talking about the pool. We might verify with the county treasurer that the receipts match, you know, what's in your books. We'll look at the property taxes. I said that maybe already. But the state receipts, we'll get a confirmation from the state, you know, by the FAA to make sure everything, you know, goes through. We'll look at your disbursements. I look at like paid bills, see if you got a backup invoice, to see if the council listed it as approved in the minutes, that you actually, you know, approved them, and if it looks like it's a public purpose, and if it's coded in the right, you know, category. Like if it's a gas bill, it's in gas, you know, not in general fund. You know, the police salaries should be in the police department, you know, not in a different department. We all look at payroll, make sure the salaries authorized, utility bills, to see if the ordinance you passed is what's getting charged on the computer. You know, because once in a while there'll be a key entry error or something where the rate doesn't get in there, you know, quite right. So we kind of, you know, double check some of, you know, so we looked at we try to look at all the different aspects. And then because you're governmental, we also look at code compliance. So we look at it to see if you've complied with the Code of Iowa for various things. Did you publish your wages in the paper? Did you publish your bills in paper? You know, did you have a public hearing for debt and different things like that? If you run a business, you might not think about looking at that. Then I also kind of look at grants a little bit, where if there's a grant that says this is for, you know, the airport, and we're going to pay 80% of the project, then I kind of make sure that that grant pays 80% of the project. And then that, what you're turning into the FAA actually traces, you know, to the backup documentation. And so I kind of wanted to bring that up a little bit this year, because we may or may not have a single audit, you know, coming forward. And a single audit is if you have like federal funds more than a certain dollar amount, you have to follow some federal guidelines, and then there might be some additional testing to be done at for what the federal government wants. So you might have one of those next year, maybe if you spend more than 500,000 federal dollars in 1 year, you're subject to, you know, a single audit.
Does that include FEMA money?
Yes.
Good.
And some FEMA is state and some's federal. Because usually I can't remember how, usually it goes, is it 70, 20 and then 80, 20
Somewhere,
or something
yeah.
like that. So that's just a little synopsis of what we've done, and then I'll kind of give you the results here. And let's just go into page, I'd like to go through this schedule, it's page 12 and 13. And this is an overview of,
See what's happening.
well, I thought you had a
Any
budget,
of you.
I thought you had a budget to follow.
I delegate.
Well, this shows the books in a little different aspect. So what this is showing us is, on the left side shows all the expenses for the city for the year. And so it shows there's like $4.8 million of expenses. And then what we have here is there's direct receipts that go against the different categories of disbursements. Like the business type activities, you can see like the gas expenses, and then there's gas income, which is like charges for services. And then up above here you've got like public safety. So your public safety is police, fire, and then you've got like certain charges. And there might be a few grants to go against it. And you go over to page 13, you see this negative $360,000. And you see this negative public works for $820,000. That's like the roads, the streets. So basically those categories are what your tax dollars are spending, are helping to support. So if somebody says, where's my tax dollars go? This is what this schedule's supposed to show. It's going to help pave the roads. This is between like, the local option and the property taxes. So that's kind of why I like to kind of point this, schedule out, because it kind of shows us something says, where's my tax dollars going? You can kind of look at this schedule. It's in a little bit different format than what you used to see.
Is road use tax included in that?
Yeah, road use tax is actually on the left side on page 12, included under public works, this $200,000 operating grants.
Yeah.
And then there was some extra, public works shows like $800,000 negative because you did a bunch of road work, this year when you had that extra money, from the settlement, from Highway 20 settlement. So that's why it looks like there's a lot of, negative this year's because you had some cash, from the year before. And so I've been helping a couple cities kind of help with the budget, going forward. There's rollbacks, on the commercial property. And so I've been kind of trying to help them kind of maybe think about like looking at your budget in a little bit different aspect, like what am I asking for property taxes? So you can see like the pool, okay, the pool will bring in like $20,000 and might spend $40,000. So we need $20,000 to support the pool. I need, $20,000 to support, maybe the parks. And then you kind of see how much property taxes you need to support the different categories just to see if you got, enough property taxes to go around. I thought that's kind of a good way to look at it, because then, the property taxes may go down with the, we can, the fill-in and the commercial property. So that's why I just pointed that out, and then you can see that the total cash on hand went from $1.1 million to $500,000 in the governmental funds and like $1 million overall in the city. Like I said, a lot of it went down just because you did those extra road projects. So that was kind of fast, but is there any questions on that? And then I just kind of, I usually skip back to like any comments we had.
It's 48, page 48.
Page 48? Got it memorized? Because you already looked at that page.
Those are my favorite pages. Those are the ones that turn right to it.
Yeah. And a couple of these comments are carryovers from last year, because we came in like February last year and, we made the recommendation, but it already been goofed up already before we got here. But the first two are just basically, you know, the same couple I've had, you know, for a couple of years, is we looked at your segregation of duties, and it's pretty good. But there's a few areas that you don't have complete, you know, segregation. And a lot of that's in like the utility bills, because Dee Dee does most of the billing and a lot of the receipts, and she does a reconciliation. And she's very efficient at it. But, you know, there's not completely segregation. And, you know, to be really completely segregated, you have to have someone probably come in and do like a bank reconciliation that doesn't do any other aspects. You know, somebody that doesn't do payroll, or doesn't do receipts, you know, or doesn't, you know. Or you could, you know, have one of the councilmen could, you know, come in and review it and initial them. I suggested that this morning where I was, and they kind of said, well, they don't even know what they're looking at. But I mean, it's just another set of eyes, you know, that's something. But I mean, I didn't see anything I thought out of the ordinary or anything like that, or I would have been, you know, calling you before. And then the second thing that's in there is, according to auditing standards, you're not supposed to rely on the audit firm to put the audit booklet together. The staff's supposed to put this format together and put all the footnotes and disclosures and everything, and I'm just supposed to audit it. But I've always put the book together. I've been auditing for 35 years, and none of our clients are small, you know, because we're not in the big, you know, maybe Fortune 500 companies, you know. So where they have, you know, CFOs to put it together, so. But anyway,
It's
that's,
great that you do. It's great that you do.
and I just put in there, the outsourcing is not unusual in an organization your size, so that's kind of standard, you know, thing I put in there.
It'd be awesome that you do it.
And then I just, we're over budget in a couple categories. And it was, we go back to page 34 and 35. So on page 35, if you go over, see on the right-hand side, the total net, it shows total expenses are the 4.8 million. And that's kind of the same number from the first page. And in Iowa, we budget by program and not by fund. So it doesn't necessarily make logical sense that you aren't budgeting, you're not budgeting by the road use. You're kind of budgeting by the road use, but they call it the legal level is based on the program. So like the road use is part of public works, and it does like, it has, you know, salaries and
Yeah, a lot
you know,
of stuff.
lots of stuff in it, but then employee benefit levy, that might have some public works in it too, because they have the FICA and the IPERS, you know, so some of that's spread over a couple different funds, so you have to budget by function. And so you can see the total budget was 5 million, and you spent 4.8. So you're under budget in total, just a couple of categories were over budget. So I just wanted to point that out. So and most of it was over budget in business type, which is water, gas, and water, gas, and sewer. So I think it's me because I don't know if it's because the gas went up or
It's probably sewer.
Sure.
sewer projects. And so there's really no consequences except I just make a note in the footnotes. So I just want to point out you're under budget in total. So. And then basically I just pointed out with the revenue bonds, with the sewer, the sewer's in the hole as of June 30th. And it's in the hole, right now it has at June 30th it has a deficit balance of 56,000. And just because with all the new sewer projects, there's a lot of debt, you know, and expenses. And I know you're trying to get the rates up, and the rates are trying to get up fast enough to, you know, pay off the debt. And Adam and Sandy are keeping track of, because the sewer still owes, you know, some, I think the debt service some money, and because it wasn't able to reimburse them, you know, the whole thing. So really, to keep track of it, you know, better, the sewer fund should pay all the debt out of the sewer account, and not transfer it to the debt service. But they actually should write the check out of the sewer fund because it's a revenue bond. And then if you're in the hole, that's just how much. Then you'll know kind of a little, you know, how much you have to raise the rates to, you know, cover that deficit. So I know you're working on it.
Yeah, we are.
So would you, I mean, Do you feel we've raised the rates enough to get ahead of this? Or did you do any analysis of that?
No, I didn't, because I was assuming that's what your engineers did, or the rate study.
That is what you were doing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the auditor really doesn't get involved in a rate
Yeah.
analysis.
You know, I'm always an after the fact. I'm a year after the fact, so when I say this year, I'm talking about 2014.
You know, this never hurts to ask.
Yeah, that's okay, but. And then sometimes you try to get it up enough so you can get some cushion too, because, you know, what if you have like a water main break, I mean, that's the water department, but what if some unusual expenses come up, you want to have some cushion in there. And that's why there's 110% net revenue requirement, and that's what the SRF puts that in there, so what they do is, like if your bond payment is $100,000, you're supposed to have like a profit of $110,000, so you can pay that $100,000 bond and have $10,000 put away. And they put that in there just like any bank, you know, because they want you to have extra. So then that way they force you to actually put some money aside for repairs and stuff.
We had some unforeseen things that we would have never known were going to come up after that project,
Yeah.
that there was nothing that could be done about it.
And sometimes you just can't, yeah.
Yeah, it's absolutely,
And I think, like I said, I was out auditing another city, they said they were in talk, they have their water fund was in a deficit, the SRF kind of checks on them, you know, periodically, and all they do is say, raise your rates. What do you do when you have repairs
Yep.
and stuff you have to take care of? The DNR says this is what needs to be done, so. And then the insurance levy, I think I had that in there last year, and Adam said that probably should be okay by now, but what I'm talking about is, you just kind of did your budget, and there's all these categories you can budget for. Like there's the general levy, which that's just fixed. But then you can, at 810, but there's a couple levies you can ask for as needed, with how much you need. And one of those is tort liability, which is your property insurance. And another one's employee benefit levy, which is like your IPERS and FICA, you know, you do the workman's comp and the health insurance. So the only thing you're supposed to make sure is you only levy for the governmental employees. Because the utilities are supposed to have your rates high enough to pay the utilities, you know, wages and then benefits. And so this one year we had a little bit extra property insurance levy. It was probably like, I think it went down, I can't remember how much it was. Maybe like 20,000, 15,000 was more brought in property taxes than the expenses. So then I just recommended that we lower it because you don't want to over levy the taxes on
we did.
on citizens. So.
And you might notice that's probably one of the reasons why you see our tax levy.
Right, we
down.
did that.
Yeah.
So then the response that the city will lower the rate, or
Yep,
the city has lowered the rate effectively then?
Yeah.
For June 30th.
yep. Going forward, yep.
Yeah, we've done it already.
And then on page 51, and this is one of those things that happen. When you do an equipment lease, it's really like incurring debt, so you're supposed to have a public hearing. Because you're committed yourself to like 5 years of payments. So technically that's like, so you can go out and buy a loader, don't have to have a public hearing. But if you lease a loader for 5 years, you have to have a public hearing because it's incurring debt.
Okay.
I don't write the rules, I just report on them. And then that was just about the revenue bonds, I just said they probably should, because the last year was just paid, they're paid out of the debt service and the revenue bonds, the sewer fund reimburses debt service, so probably be cleaner accounting, I thought it should be paid, since the revenue bond is paid out of the sewer. So those were basically my main comments, like I said, a couple of them come from the other year. I don't think we didn't make any journal entries this year, did we? So I didn't make any, adjustments, to the books that you saw. And then if I do, I would, type up a little list of any entries, you didn't make, so you know.
Jerry, you usually like them to take a formal action to accept the report, from what I remember.
Correct, yep.
And who did you, the mayor has signed this, do you want the council members to also sign this, or?
Just you and the mayor's okay.
Okay.
So do we want to, does someone want to make a motion to
I would
accept?
move to accept the audit report.
I'll second it.
Motion has been made and seconded to accept the audit reports. Is there any other discussion?
You know, I'd just like to make the comment that obviously what goes into a successful report is the staff doing a good job of keeping track of the funds, doing things according to the way they should be. It makes an audit come out fairly clean. So I'd just like to commend Adam and Sandy, you know, in their work on that. So thank you.
And thanks to Jerry for
Thank
doing
you,
the
too.
audit.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks for having me, and basically just a couple of compliance issues, it's not like any major stuff where books didn't balance, things are miscoded and stuff. So. I've
Okay,
been there, I mean, from different places where,
Sure you have.
okay, the motion has been made and seconded, and I will call for a vote.
Councilperson Hanson?
Yes.
McGinty?
Yes.
Brennan?
Yes.
Bruni?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Have a safe trip home, Jerry.
Thank you very
I
much
get
for
home
being
before it
here.
ices.
Thank you.
Yes,
Every year I come, something happens. I go,
yeah, there's, weather
I
always,
sure I called him, I called this afternoon and say, thought for sure I was gonna, and I said, oh no, I left Ellsworth at like 4:20 this afternoon.
We need to set up a Skype situation so that you can just do this electronically.
What's wrong with the last Tuesday in March? It's supposed to be sunny.
yeah.